Come on, all 4 weeks. I think that's worth clapping for every single time. Did you guys notice the shot they took? Like not one hand connected with the other. It just couldn't be more perfect. So great job to the team on that. Welcome to Central, everybody. I'm so glad that you're here in the room today. Thanks for making this part of your weekend. If you're new here, stop by the Blue Room on your way out. It's on the other side of the atrium. I'll be there. I'd love to meet you. James will be there, some other staff as well. We have a gift for you. So please it doesn't have to take a long time. Just stop by the Blue Room on your way out today. If you're joining us online or on TV, a big welcome to you as well. Thanks for being part of this service up until now. I hope you've been singing along and clapping and worshiping right along with us. Now, don't disengage, but if you're online, you can chat as we have this service. If you have any questions, if you're on TV, you can always call or text 618-242-4185, and a pastor is standing by to pray with you right now. Everybody in the room, let's welcome all those people online and on TV today. Okay, so here we are in week 2 of summer school, our short summer series, and today the man, James McKinzie, is bringing the lesson. So James, let's get to know you a little bit in a different way. Let's cut right to the chase. Did you ever get in trouble in school?
For the most part, no.
I wouldn't think so.
No. Actually, the only time that I really remember was my senior year in high school.
Okay.
I actually got called to the principal's office on just one time. That's the only time I ever remember. So
for what?
Well, so Leanne's in service here, so I got to be careful how I say some of this. But Leanne and I, we dated throughout high school.
Okay.
And then my senior year, we kind of ran into a little bit of a rough time, and we broke up.
Oh.
And so there was one time after school was out, I go back, get in my truck to leave, and here comes Leanne walking out of school, just giggling and smiling at another guy, talking with another guy. This guy was one of my best friends.
What?
Yeah, and so let me just do this in case he's watching. Ha ha, she married me. So.
Nice job.
Yeah, thanks. So anyhow, this upset me. So I take a look around, and I don't see any teachers, nobody in charge. I'm like, she needs to know that I'm not happy. And so I take off, very rapid speed, throw rocks everywhere. And next morning at school started, and then, hey, James McKinzie, please come to the principal's office. I go in there, and Mr. Smith, the superintendent, said, hey, yesterday when I was leaving school, I had a flat tire, and I was bent down changing the tire in my car when rocks flew by me. And so, but it turned out good. He was just like, I said, it's girl trouble, and he said, oh, don't let him bother you. And that was about it. So, yeah.
This is the worst trouble James has ever been in his life.
Come on.
Wow. All right, so obviously it worked out between the two of you. And I mean, clearly you're a handsome man now, but I know that what drew her to you in the first place, people understand when they see this picture. It's a lot of hair and a lot of shirt collar is what we've got going on. Clearly a chick magnet.
Yeah.
How did you take care of that perm? Show them what you found. I know what you found.
Well, I mean, the story is that, as I was looking through, they said, hey, grab a picture or two here. And I was looking through. I could not believe this fell out of the drawer. Look at this. This is from, check this out.
It's the one.
This is like 40 plus years old.
That needs to be in a glass case on a mantle next to that picture with some sort of a special downlight on it, for sure. All right, let's pray for James, and then he's going to bring the word today. God, I thank you for James McKinzie. I thank you for the encouragement he is to me and to so many other people. I thank you for the way that you have spoken to me through him before and the way that you have planned to speak to us through him today. Would you help us to receive what you have for us as a church today? It's in Jesus' name we pray. Everybody says, church, would you welcome James McKinzie?
All right, come on, church. Clap with me. Come on now. Sing it if you know it. Come on now.
I want to talk about me,
want to talk about I, want to talk about number one. Oh, my, me, my. What I think, what I like, what I know, what I want, what I see. I like talking about you usually. But occasionally, I want to talk about me. I want to talk about me. Yeah.
Come on.
You know what?
Come on.
Have you been wearing that cowboy hat the whole time? Oh my goodness, I hadn't even noticed. Well, I bet you didn't come to church today thinking you're going to sing a Toby Keith song, did you? So that song was recorded by Toby Keith all the way back 2001, went to the top of the country music charts. It stayed there for several weeks. And I mean, I don't know this, but I suspect that the reason for its popularity had more to do with the lyrics than it did the tune. And the reason I say that is because other than the part that we just sang, it's a rap song within country music, which is not necessarily the biggest draw. I mean, they don't really go together. It's kind of like, I don't know, pouring orange juice on your cornflakes in the morning. Like, it's okay, it just doesn't fit, right? But the lyrics really hit home for people. Because it's all about this person who is so self-focused, so self-absorbed, that all they want to do is talk about themselves. It's that person who subtly, or maybe even not so subtly, seems to somehow work into every conversation their accomplishments. It's that person who you can tell is already thinking about the next thing that they want to say, rather than listening to what you're currently saying. It's about that, it's that somebody who wants to make sure you know that they're kind of a big deal because you may not be familiar with their past and all that they have done, all that they have achieved. Well, as we said, we are on week 2 of summer school here, and I am really super excited to share this topic with you about being self-focused, inward focused. Now, this series, as we've said, is 4 weeks long. We have 4 different people sharing a message in this series. And each of us, just as kind of how it came about, each of us chose a topic in which we have kind of learned a life lesson, thus the name Summer School. And I might even take it a step further and say it is, the topic we chose is maybe even something that, I don't know, we struggled with. And so if I were being transparent with you, I would share with you that this is probably a struggle of mine. Now, I say that, and I'm in no way trying to downplay my struggle, but I think in some kind of way, all of us struggle at least a little bit with this idea of being focused on ourselves and not as much as we should be on other people. Now, maybe for you, and I suspect that this is the way for most of the people who are listening to this message, that maybe for you, I mean, it doesn't show, it doesn't manifest itself like the person in the song, that we just sang about, that you always talk about yourself and vocalize your accomplishments and seek praise from other people. So maybe that's not you, but maybe for you it's more subtle. In fact, maybe it's not necessarily even openly apparent to others. Maybe we don't even realize it ourselves. But if we were to do an honest, deep dive evaluation, maybe what we would find is this, is that there are often times when we put our needs and our wants as this real high priority, and we give a much lesser consideration to the needs and the wants of the neighbor that Jesus commanded us to love as ourselves. I mean, see, like maybe for you it's this. Maybe you would do whatever it takes to not only succeed in your job, but to get ahead in your job regardless of who it hurts and who it impacts. Or maybe this one, maybe you do whatever it takes to make sure that your child, your grandchild, gets the very best in whatever, school, sports, whatever, no matter who it hurts and impacts, no matter what family this may hurt or what child this may impact. You see, the Bible, this is real clear. The Bible talks a whole lot about this subject, so I just gotta believe that God knew that this would be an issue for so many of us. And besides that, society that we live in now, it will push, it will encourage us to have this self-serving mindset. I mean, the message from the media is this, no doubt, that we should speak up if we think, even in the littlest bit, that we have been treated unfairly, and to speak out about all our accomplishments, all that we have done, because if you don't, who will? And besides, it ain't bragging if it's true. And my goodness, social media provides the perfect outlet for us to speak up and to speak out. And how about this? Quite possibly for us, the person that we take the most pictures of is ourselves. And then we proudly call it a selfie. Just consider that in light of our topic that we're talking about today. And here's what I think has happened, okay? I think gradually, over time, without us even noticing, that the world you and I live in has made this self-focus, inward focus, self-praise, mind style and lifestyle. It has made it not only acceptable, has made it normal. But the Bible just, it takes us in the exact opposite direction. I mean, for example, listen to this passage that kind of combats this self-praise kind of idea. Proverbs 27:2 says this, let someone else praise you, not your own mouth, a stranger, not your own lips. And listen to this. This is out of Philippians 2, and this gets to the heart of what we're talking about here. This gets to the heart of that self-focused kind of mentality. I'm going to read verses 3 and 4. This is what it says. Don't be selfish. Don't try to impress others. Be humble, thinking of others as better than yourself. Don't look out only for your own interests, but take an interest in others too. Mark Batterson is a pastor and an author, and I love his commentary on these couple of verses. This is what he says about that. He said that there are two kinds of people in this world. First of all, there are people who walk into a room and then internally announce, here I am. And then there are people who walk into a room and internally announce, there you are. And that really presents a question that is kind of the overriding umbrella question for us to consider today in this message. And it's this: do I have a mindset and a lifestyle that more reflects, here I am, or there you are? I mean, am I focused on me, myself, and I, or am I more concerned about others and adding value to their life? And hear this is so important. The enemy, Satan, is actively trying to get us to fixate on ourselves. I mean, he is working hard to try and get us to exalt ourselves. He's putting thoughts in our mind, in our head, that our agenda is the most important. He will whisper in your ear that you need to look out for you because no one else is going to, and that the only way for you to be happy is if you have your kingdom come and your will be done. And the reason The reason that Satan wants us to focus on ourselves is because the damage and the destruction of a here I am, self-focused mindset, the damage runs deep, so deep. I mean, when we look back at this Philippians passage that we just read a couple minutes ago, if we look at the verses right before this passage, it will paint a picture for us of the impact of a self-focused, here I am kind of mindset. So I want to read, we earlier read Philippians 2, we read verses 3 and 4. I want to read verses 1 and 2, and then we're going to come back and make a point out of that. So verses 1 and 2, Philippians 2, it says, is there any encouragement from belonging to Christ, any comfort from his love, any fellowship together in the Spirit? Are your hearts tender and compassionate? Then make me truly happy by agreeing wholeheartedly with each other, by loving one another, and working together with one mind and one purpose. See, verses 1 and 2 that we just read, verses 1 and 2 are what we should be all about. Working together, loving each other, being united. And what Paul, the Apostle Paul, the author of this letter, is doing, he is presenting us with an either-or situation. You will either be united together, loving one another, working together, or you will be selfish. You'll think yourself better than others. You'll only be concerned with yourself. So it's one or the other. He's saying you will be this camp or this camp. And so the message rings out, with that in mind, the message rings out loud and clear that we need to learn from this, that when we have this inward focus, self-focus, here I am kind of mindset, that what it does, it will destroy the unity among us. It will damage the love that we have for each other. And it will deter us, maybe worst of all, it will deter us from working together and completing our mission of sharing Jesus with others. So it is no wonder that Satan wants us to focus on ourselves, because when we have this self-absorbing mindset, it will stifle everything that you and I are called to be about, both as individual believers and collectively as a church. It is the opposite. I mean, that is the exact opposite of relationships matter most that we talk so often about. And think of the logic. Here it is. If I am always thinking about me and you are always thinking about you, it's impossible for us to think about us. You know, putting this message together, I try to think, what is like the one thing that I want us to walk out of here with? And, you know, I know it has to be more than just, hey, leave here and try and be more selfless. And so I look back on my life, and I think that maybe the greatest thing that you and I can do to help us to consider, to help us put the needs of others ahead of our own, maybe the greatest thing that we can do is to pray for other people. James 5:16 says that we should pray for each other. And then in Matthew 5:44, Jesus himself says, pray for those, even those that persecute you. And then listen to this passage from 1 Timothy chapter 2. Listen to the there you are tone in this passage, okay? It says this: I urge you, first of all, to pray for all people. Ask God to help them. Intercede on their behalf. Give thanks for them. And here's the thought. Listen, here's the thought behind this. If my focus, it's impossible for me to focus on myself if I am in consistent prayer for the hurts and the pains and the struggles and the needs of other people. D.L. Moody was this great evangelist of the 19th century, and I read this story about him. where D.L. Moody took out a piece of paper and he wrote names on this paper of people that he wanted to pray for, people he knew, people he had connections with, but people that did not know Jesus as their Savior. And he wrote 100 names on this sheet of paper. He would carry this paper around and he would pull it out often and pray for these people. And as someone on that list would accept Jesus, he would happily mark them off that list. And it is said that when D.L. Moody died, that he had marked 96 names off of that list. And at his funeral, the other 4 gave their life to Jesus. So here's what I'm asking you to do. This is your homework for the week. You all should have received one of these cards when you came in. And if you are online or on TV, you can just use a piece of paper or a sticky note. There's really nothing special about these cards. But I'm asking you to do this, to write 3 names on this card or on the paper or sticky note. You write 3 names. You don't have to do it now. Do it sometime this week. But I want you to write 3 names of people that you have connections with. People like maybe a neighbor or a friend, a family member, a coworker, people you have connections with that don't know Jesus. And I want us to see how God works in that. I want you to take those cards and you put it on someplace where you'll see it often, like maybe on the mirror in your bathroom or on the dashboard of your car. And every time you see that card, you pray for the people who are on that list. And let's see what God does with that. Now listen, not only what God does with it in terms of the people we are praying for, but see how God takes our hearts and moves us further away from a there or from a here I am and closer to a there you are. Mary Clark is a name that you probably are not familiar with. It's a lady that was born in 1926, and she grew up in this rich family. In fact, she lived in this beautiful, gorgeous home in Beverly Hills. She had movie stars and famous people that were her neighbors. If you're familiar with some old-time stars, people like Dinah Shore and William Powell were her neighbors. But she began to discover later in life that there was a greater purpose. And she began to discover this when she started doing volunteer work for the poor, not just anywhere, but in Mexico. She went to volunteer to help the poor in Mexico. It was around the age of 50 or so. She actually became a Catholic sister. And she was known then as Mother Antonia. And this work that she did for the poor in Mexico, it led her to La Mesa State Penitentiary, which is located in Tijuana, Mexico. Now, La Mesa, it was home to some of the more notorious criminals. It was murderers, gang leaders, rapists, some serious felons. And Mother Antonia, she would go to this prison and she would care for and help the inmates in this prison. She would do stuff like providing for their basic needs, like, medicine and blankets and toiletries and eyeglasses. And to be honest, things that back then and in that place, if she didn't provide it, it would not be provided for them at all. Those needs would not have been met. And then she did something. It was so selfless. It is like the ultimate act of considering others better than yourself. She sold everything she owned, and she moved into that prison. I mean, you and I would not be allowed to do that today, but she was allowed to move into that prison. And I think about this. This is a lady who grew up rich, living in this beautiful, luxurious home. And now she called a cold, damp, 10 by 10 concrete cell home. And she had this, it was in the women's section of the prison. She had a small bed. She had a table in which she put her Bible and her Spanish dictionary on. And she could come and go as she pleased. But she chose to sleep there at night. And the reason why is because it always seemed like at night, people were getting sick, people were getting stabbed, bad things even worse than that happening. And she wanted to be there to assist them. It was Halloween night, 1994, and a riot breaks out in La Mesa prison. Now, Mother Antonia is not there. She's off running some errands, but when she hears about it, she comes back to the prison. And after much, debate and conversation, she convinces the leaders of this prison to allow her to go into the middle of this riot, into this prison. And so now this 67-year-old woman goes into the middle of this chaos, and she goes in and she's calling out the names of some of the inmates in there. One of the prisoners, one of the other inmates yells, "Mother Antonia, you gotta leave, you're gonna get shot." But she doesn't leave. She just keeps moving forward to where she hears the voices. And finally she arrives, she's right where the prisoners, the inmates are at, and she falls down on her knees. And she says to the one leading the riot, "Please put down your weapons." And he says, "Mother," he whispers softly, "Mother, as soon as we heard your voice, we dropped our guns out the window." So hear this. This is where this message comes together. You got to hear this. When we consider others better than ourselves, when we truly consider others better than ourselves, even the hardest of hearts are softened. People without hope gain new hope. People's eternity will be forever changed. And so may you and I, may the people of Central Christian Church, may we, all due respect, may we get over ourselves so that our eyes can be wide open to a community of people who are hurting, who are broken, who are in desperate need of Jesus. And may you and I, may we never be driven by a desire to seek praise from other people, but instead, may our only motivation be hearing Jesus say one day, "Well done, good and faithful servant." Romans 2:29 says this, "And a person with a changed heart seeks praise from God and not from man, not from people." And so as we take that verse and we massage it and turn it into a prayer, I challenge you to say this prayer with me daily. God, change my heart to seek praise only from you. And may Mount Vernon and Carbondale, may all of Southern Illinois and beyond be radically changed because you and I chose to consider others better than ourselves. We're going to end our time together here praying as a family. And we invite you, we do this every week, we invite you to these steps to pray. You can submit any concern or problem to God, any praise, any request. But let me suggest this too, that if you know the names that will end up on your card, maybe now's a good time to start praying for them. You come to these steps and pray for those people. Or maybe you don't know what names to put on that card. Then let me suggest this. Just come to these steps and ask God this question. God, would you please reveal to me the names that go on my card? And then you just listen for what he has to say. Whatever the need, whatever is on your heart, you come and pray. So let's stand, let's sing, You Come and Pray.